Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, Ara.
Good evening. Welcome to the Monday, April 26th, 2021 meeting of the Revere City Council. Please rise and salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk.
Roll call of the members. Councilor Janino.
Here.
Here. Councilor Guanasso.
Here.
Here. Councilor Keith.
Here.
Here. Councilor McKenna.
Here.
Here. Councilor Morabito.
Here.
Here. Councilor Novoselsky.
Here.
Here. Councilor Powers.
Here.
Here. Councilor Rotundo.
Present.
Here. Councilor Sereno.
Here.
Here. Councilor Visconti.
Here.
Here. And Council President Zimbudo.
Here.
Here. Quorum is present. Calendar item number 2, approval of the journal of the regular meeting of April 5th.
So moved.
All in favor or opposed? So voted.
Calendar item number 3, joint meeting of Comcast, National Grid, RCN, and Verizon to discuss double poles and other public utility work.
Who's up first?
Councilor Dan Cameron, I'm here.
Good evening, Dan.
Stan Yusevich is here.
Hi, Stan. Welcome.
Thank you.
Who wants to lead this off here?
Dan, I have the list up in front of me, so I could do that if you don't mind.
Sure, thank you.
Okay. I just brought it up to the screen. I know that we had sent out a listing a couple of weeks ago, and that is a bit out of date. Currently, there are 168 double poles in the city of Revere. 12 are with Comcast, 1 with Crown Castle, 1 with First Boston, which is a small cell. National Grid has 44. There are 46 in the third-party non-participating, which tends to be a municipal cable in most cases. RCN has 30. Revere Fire Department for the fire alarm has 23, and we have 11. I will tell you that we've been aggressive the past month. I think we had crews in Revere the first 2 weeks of March, and removed about 40 poles at that time. And obviously, everybody else has been very active in moving their inboxes down to the bottom of the poles, because I can see that Comcast is certainly have a great number, as does RCN. So I think the system is moving as we expected, but I do think at some point there's going to be a conversation about third-party non-participating members.
Okay, is that it? When you say Stanley, when you say third party, are we talking other than Comcast and RCN, or?
Yeah, we are. As a matter of fact, Councillor, you and I had talked about this when we first met a number of years ago. The municipality has perhaps a couple of fibers, or at least one fiber, and perhaps a former first generation cable TV intranet. And I'd like to host or have a meeting, during the day with the city staff to try to work this out so that they can claim ownership of things that they do own, and then take care of them as they come up on these queues.
Great. So is that, we're going to get that through the city? Is that what we're looking for here?
Yeah, I think we need to have them identified, Mr. President.
Okay, great. Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you make a note of that? Thank you. Dan, do you have anything you want to add?
I just want to say thanks, Dan, for the update. As the councils may be aware that between upgrades that National Grid is working on, upgrades to the system with the growing electric load in Revere has caused us to replace poles, and also we're getting requests from third-party attachees as well to make ready work. We make ready work, which is where occasionally we're going to have to replace a pole in order to make more room on the pole to accommodate, as Stan said, some of these other third-party carriers which have received licenses to attach to the pole. So, we're doing the best we can. Our numbers fluctuate a lot as well, but we've set a lot of poles, but we've done a lot of transferring as well. Okay.
Great, thank you. All right, I'm going to go in order of the hands I see. Councilor Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to Mr. Cameron. Appreciate you both being here tonight, and I know that there's been some good work, so I like the progress on the double poles. Obviously we still want to see some more. I don't see anyone from RCN. I did have a couple dangling wires that were wrapped around poles, and that if we could just share for the record the corner of Oxford and Mountain Ave, I'd like to see if we can get those long wires that are wrapped around the poles pulled back or removed. But Dan, Mr. Cameron, this is more towards the National Grid work in regards to Suffolk Ave, Homer Street, and Ridge. Your crews have been out there, obviously, since sometime around November. I know we spoke for quite some time. I just want to confirm that the work, the completion of the gas line work will be, we talked 2 weeks ago, you said 6 to 8 weeks, so I'm just wanting to confirm for the residents in that neighborhood that the work will be completed in 6 weeks. So I took it in the calendar, and it was going to be the end of the first week of June. Just wanted to make sure that we were good with communicating that to the residents.
Yes, Council, that's our estimate right now. We're now working on services, cutting the services to the new mains that we've completed. And so that is our goal, to have that completed. I think when we first spoke, it was 8 weeks, so it's probably 6 weeks by now.
Correct.
We should be completed.
Right.
And then the restoration of the street will be taken care of by the city, which we have contributed towards.
Thank you. And and that's the big notice. We want to make sure the residents realize that those streets, National Grid will be reimbursing the city a certain percentage of the funds to restore those streets to pristine condition. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Madam Clerk, if we can make a note to contact RCN, Comcast, and
Comcast is here.
oh, okay.
RCN is not.
Oh, okay, great, okay. All righty,
RCN wasn't ready.
and they didn't show. Yeah, okay, we're not pleased about that. Thank you.
I just want to make sure you're able to hear me. It's Angela Home from Comcast. I had to join by phone.
Welcome, welcome.
Okay, thank you. Oh, good. I was having some difficulties. Thank you. But I'm here.
Thank you. Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to first thank Dan for taking the double pole off of Victoria Street. I really appreciate that, and Stan getting your wires off of that, and Comcast getting their wires off too, Angela. We do have a double pole in the middle of the street called Bayview. It's not on your list, but there's no sidewalks, so the double pole's in the middle of the street. Well, it's on the side of the street. And I think I said that to you, Dan, when I said Victoria Street, but I think it still remains the same, in the same position. So, like I said, it's in the street. Stan, I have a couple of poles that have wires wrapped around them. If I could send you a list tomorrow, will you take care of them for me?
Yeah, please send them along by email, and that's the easiest way for me to get it into someone's hands.
Okay, that's
Great.
all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Janino.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have a quick question for Dan Camerons. Dan, I believe I sent this in an email, but I've received several calls and emails regarding North Shore Road, that the lights were out for the length of North Shore Road. So I just wanted to see what the status of that is. And also, when I sent that email, I got an automatic response that Joe Newman had retired. So I wasn't sure if there's a new contact I should be copying any correspondence to you on, or just any update on that. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilor. Yes, Councilor Serino had sent us a note on that on Friday. And so we are in the process of hiring. That's a state road. So state police detail. So I told, in my response to Councilor Serino, I told him that we would be hiring state police details. And we're actually going to, the plan is we're going to convert those lights, because we have work orders in the system to convert those lights to LED. So instead of just repairing what's there, we're going to convert them to LED. That'll take place
That's
over
great.
the next couple of weeks, you know. And as far as Joe Newman, yeah, he is our state house. He has retired, and temporarily a gentleman named Kevin O'Shea has been taken over. So I'll forward you his contact information. Okay.
Thank you as always, Dan. I really appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dan?
Hi, Councilor.
Yeah. I've got a situation down at the end of Woodland Road. I believe it's in the, I think it's number 50. It may be a little higher. Could go as high as 70. But it's the very last pole down there. And I brought this to attention. It's been 2 years now. the bottom of the pole was hit by a vehicle, and it's in a very dangerous area with regard to tipping or something like that. And the owner is there most all the time. They may have to shut off the power or something, and I would really appreciate it if you would mark that down and see if we could get it done. Like I say, it's been a couple of years now since the accident, and they're worried about the pole tipping over. And I've been down and looked at it several times, and I can understand why they're concerned or worried. And then the other issue is, and I want to bring you up to speed, and maybe you can direct me, myself and the Inspectional Services Department in the right direction. In back of the boulevard, at the rear, between the boulevard and Arcadia Street, there's a National Grid right-of-way there that was the old narrow gauge railroad. And somebody has been dumping down there, and it's National Grid property, and this has been going on for a while now. This was just brought to my attention, and I know Inspectional Service has sent a communication to National Grid, but I wonder if you could sort of keep your eye on that, follow up on it, because the residents in this city, when they have something out of kilter with their property, like it's not in clean or something like that, the city is very swift to make sure the situation is abated, and I think that National Grid is responsible on their property to live up to the same standards that the residents of this city do, and it's not a good situation. If you'd care to meet with me sometime, I'd be more than happy to get out and take a look at it with you. But it's something that has to be addressed. I just don't want to see it just linger out there and linger, because it's people want to enjoy their property, and if you saw this property, you'd understand why they're upset. So if you would care to meet with me, or if you care to pass this on to whoever it has to be passed on to, there's already been a communication sent from Inspectional Services, and I'd like to see if we get this property done as quickly as possible. Thank you.
All right, Counselor, yes, that notification would have been sent to our real estate department, so I'll check with them. But I do know that right away in the past, we've had to go in there every so often because of the dumping and clean it out. So I'll follow up on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
excuse me, I've looked at it, and just a quick guesstimate would be probably you'd need a dozen truckloads to come out of there, and then it would have to be secured, because if it's not secured, we're going to encounter the same problems down the road. It's going to get dumped in there again, and it's not a good situation. I'm sure it would be costly to National Grid to abate it, but it's something that has to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Visconti?
Thank you, Mr. President. Dan, how you doing? Just
Good, how are
following
you?
up on that conversation we had regarding, I think it was poll 2027. Not sure if you recall. The lighting, the lights are out on that pole. It's the corner of Vane and Dale Street. I believe I sent you a text, and not sure if you recall that. Just wondering if that light was ever fixed since the last conversation.
All right, I'll look into that, Council. One thing we have done ever since the lights were converted to LED, because we've had to change some of the lights out. And so we put a procedure in place that if you could report lights, and you can copy me, but report them to 311. And Nick sends us a list every week of lights that possibly need to be readjusted or repaired. And that's been kind of working well. So I'll follow up on this, Council, make sure but in the future, if you could go through the 311 system, and we'll be sure to get that list every week. Okay?
Counselor Guanasso?
Thank you, Mr. President. I certainly want to encourage Dan and Stan for and thank them for their appearance, based on the fact that RCN didn't take the opportunity to appear here, and yet they're 20% of the problem. They have 30 such situations on the polls, where National Grid has 44. It's about 26%. So to stand up there and take a lot of the workload and try to get it relieved is a credit to those two gentlemen who appear for us. And also Comcast shows up also. So we got to encourage our new to the area, RCN, that we're conducting business with the city council chamber, and we're doing things on behalf of our community. So to see them with 30 incidents on different polls is kind of a discouraging, whereas National Grid only has 44. But getting to the problem with National Grid, I have a situation on Rossetti Street, poll number 4655. It's been a situation since 2019. And I'm wondering if, it's a very small street. So any infringement upon their situation there is alarming, because it is a small street. So I'm just wondering if National Grid can go down and take a look at poll number 4655 and see if because they're down there with National Grid and MA. They're the two people that are still lost on the poll. So if we can get your cooperation, Dan, to get that removed, I gave you a compliment, you see. So I want some results also. So give a little bit of honey to get what you need to do. But I would appreciate that. But I just sat here and listened, because the president selected me last, and that gave me an opportunity to hear some of the complaints of others. And you two gentlemen are sitting there bearing the force of it. And yet I see all these other percentages on other people. And you guys are doing a great job. And when we started, we were in the 300s, by the way. So we should remind our citizens that we're doing something great for our community in cooperation with you two gentlemen. And so, and also with Comcast, I want to include her also. So congratulations, keep up the good work. And I don't know if everybody knows this, but I notice it. And I applaud you for it. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Serino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sorry about that. Dan and Stan, thank you guys for being here tonight. I actually want to start out by commending you guys, because within the last couple of weeks, you have taken down what I thought to be a significantly dangerous double pole at the intersection of Sargent Street and Washington Ave, right in front of the cemetery, which I had been asking about for almost probably, I think, the past year. So thank you guys for taking that one down. And I believe there was another one closer to Linden Square near the MassDOT yard right on Washington Ave that you guys took down as well. So I want to commend you and thank you on that. I do have a couple of issues, Dan. About a year ago, I sent over a request for the pole at 455 Washington Ave. That's the one in front of the Church of Latter-day Saints, the old Grover Manor Hospital. And there is some wires sticking out of the metal, I don't know, it's like a cylinder with wires that are sticking out. And I know we had spoken before, and somebody was going to go out there and check it out. It's still, that isn't resolved yet. And then one other issue I wanted to bring to your attention is the double pole at, it's double pole 11707 at the corner of Bruno and Washington Ave. And there's a gentleman, an elderly gentleman who lives on Bruno Street, who approached me about this double pole. And my predecessor had asked, and this actually goes back to Mayor Rizzo. Mayor Rizzo had also asked for this gentleman. And unfortunately, National Grid Verizon, we haven't been able to get it taken care of. So if we could look at that double pole, those are the two main issues right now that I would like to see resolved. And one other thing I did notice, National Grid had fixed the lights on Salem Street, right where you guys added the new poles last summer. and you had brightened them, but for some reason it seems that they reverted or they didn't take, because that curve right on Salem Street heading from Revere into Saugus on the Revere side is still pretty dark at night. So I don't have those pole numbers, but if you could send a crew up there to look, that's right across from the Overlook development heading through that curve. So if you could look at that, I would appreciate it. Other than that, thank you guys for your continued partnership. And again, shame on RCN for not being here. I'm a little disappointed that, once again, they seem to totally disrespect and disregard us. And I think we need to be able to start either finding them or doing something to hold them accountable. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. And Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hi, guys and gal. Nice to see you all since last January. Just a point of information for everybody. When RCN came in for a change last January, I believe, I went online to complain to them about the situation that they are causing on the poles by cutting other people's lines and letting them hang off the poles. And if anybody wants to get hold of Tom Steele, if you can write this down, his email address is tom.steele, STEEL, @rcn.net. And he said if you see any wires hanging down that is connected with them, that they may have caused, to send him the pole numbers and the locations, and he will send somebody out to check it out and see what can be done on their end. So that's that part. I can say to Dan, I know Dan and I have been in communication over the last couple months, and I know and before I go any further, I do want to thank you for the work that you've done in contacting various operations departments. But I have to give a thank you to Anna Mezziello and Faith for their connection and getting these things done through you and not through you. It's nice that I have the direct connection and I can give them the information to get things done. And a lot of the lights that were at 25 LED have been converted to 48s or 96s, and the 210s are reduced to 48s or 96s in various locations. So there are still some that have to be done. There's maybe 7 or 8 lights that have to be converted altogether, which I have been giving you and Anna and Faith the list on a regular basis. But the things that I requested that have been done are working out. The folks are happy that the streets are lighter. There's more light on them, and especially down on Walnut Ave and Shirley Ave where the playground is. We put a 96 in there, and it really brighten up that corner with the crosswalk. So that helps a lot. In my ward, I have like 9, 10, or 11 double poles. I think I sent you a list, Dan, with the dates on them. There were 4 particular ones that I was concerned about. And I would hope that they start working on the oldest ones first to get those out of the way. I did notice the new poles. They probably put in about 15 or 20 new poles just in my neighborhood over the last 2 months. And I did notice that some of the guys got rid of the double pole right away and transferred all the wires onto the new pole. And it confuses me that your National Grid would go ahead and do these things, not going to the other agencies to get it done. But, to me, it's okay because it gets the double pole eliminated quite faster. So the guys that did it, I thank them. And I hope they all, do that more often. Because like I said, we have some polls dating back to 2018. I hope that we can start pecking away at some of those. And last of all, I just want to say that, things are overall pretty good. I know Stan's guys, are low volume as far as I know, and Comcast, Angela reacts to things that I send in pretty quickly, so I'm pretty pleased with that. But I don't have my list in front of me, but I will email them to you, Dan, and everybody, to show you what what I'm concerned about. But I do have to say that on Garfield Ave at 107, there was a third-party wire up there that belonged to the city, and I did contact the chief, and he sent a crew down there to, our private contractor go down and move that wire. So I'm sure they'll go in and say who's next to get off that pole. And I know there was one more thing, but I can't think of it right now. But overall, thank you. I'm glad we have these meetings. Oh, I know what it was. The meeting that Stan mentioned about getting the third parties together. I think it is important. 9 years ago when we first started these meetings, I put you guys together and got these meetings started. And I think we should get to RCN. And I think there was another gentleman, Mr. Ortega, that we were given an email address for any issues, but they should be coming. And I know the Chief Bright has the city contractor, but I think the city contractor, and the chief can correct me if I'm wrong, is only taking care of Revere fire items. But maybe if, since it's a city budget, maybe we should start talking to them about moving these third-party lines regarding the schools and other communication lines that belong to the city. So we ought to think about that and make that happen. So Stan, when you do, Dan, when you do set up the meeting, I would love to come and talk, and discuss it, directly and get this thing together. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm done.
Stan?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. President. Just a couple of items. First, the Garfield Ave poll that the councilor just mentioned, that has been changed, and RCN is up on that. The Washington and Bruno Ave for Councilor Serino, that's one of the third-party cables, wires that's holding it up. And again, our experience tells us that it's typically either a school department or some kind of intranet that was set up in the early stages of cable. So, that's being held up there. And in Council, I have a question for Councilor McKenna. The Bay Road poll that you mentioned?
Bayview Road. I'm sorry.
Bayview Road. I'm sorry. Okay, I was looking for. In some cases, there's cross streets here.
Yes.
So I'll look for the Bay.
This is off of Vinyl Street, and there's about 4 or 5 houses on the street. It's a very short.
Okay. I'll ask someone to take a look at it and make sure if it's a double pole that it ends up being in this list.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, I want to thank you gentlemen for coming. I remember when we started this exercise, and we've come a long way. And this is, I think this is all we could ever hope for, is to get the system as efficient as it is now. So I just want to thank you for your efforts. I am very disappointed at RCN. They better start participating, and they're going to hear from us. So thank you very much. Madam Clerk, we'll move on.
On to public hearings. Calendar item number 4, hearing called is ordered on the application of Nilson Rigonati, 1200 Salem Street, Linfield, Mass., seeking permission from the Revere City Council to alter and extend a non-conforming structure by constructing a 26 by 26 two-story addition to enable the appellant to accommodate for garage space on the first floor and additional office space on the second floor for a graphic design business at 386 Squire Road, Revere, Mass.
This is a public hearing. Proponents. People in
Good evening,
favor.
Mr. President and members of the council. My name is Attorney Larry Simeone. I represent Nelson Rigonati. The applicant before you this evening seeks a special permit in accordance with 1740030B, special permit to alter a non-conforming structure. The location for which the property is 386 Squire Road. It is in the general business district. It is on lots 471 and 472 and consists of 3,726 square feet. It is located in a two-story commercial building, which is the non-conforming structure. This building was built in 1910. Some of you might know it as the old Chelsea Clutch building. It consists of concrete, steel, and stucco and is approximately 2,940 square feet in accordance with the records of the city assessors. The structure is non-conforming because in the general business district, which it has general business land on both sides of it, if you abut a residential use or district, there becomes setback requirements. Of course, this building being built in 1910 doesn't meet any of those setback requirements and now becomes a legal non-conforming structure. Property and the project as proposed by my clients are to expand the existing structure with a two-story section of the building. The first level would be about 600 plus square feet. I think the exact dimensions are 26 by 26 as proposed on Exhibit D, the elevations and the floor plans as shown. The second of the two areas would be a second floor. You should note that this building is 2 stories and the building, a commercial building across the street, is 2 stories. So this second floor would be done for one particular purpose, and that's to add additional room for materials, equipment to this particular business. The first floor would be allowed for him to continue his wrapping of motor vehicles, which is part of his digital printing business. This individual and his wife 13 years ago started their business. It's a digital printing business. There are 2 businesses, specifically Master Printing and Sign Corporation and Art Shirt Corporation. These 2 businesses were in 2 different locations in the city of Somerville over the last 13 years. My client and his wife decided to look to consolidate one location, and they looked hard and found this building, which is, if and when some of you look at it, I know some of us have, it is really an immaculate building. I mean, inside is clean. A lot of money was invested making this building look as beautiful as does inside note. So they purchased the building. It's not a proposed purchase. My client and his wife own the building. And they're hoping that they can put both of their businesses in this location, consolidate it once and for all. Master Printing and Sign Corporation does digital printing. It could be as small as business cards to posters. It also does large format printing. That would be banners and wallpaper and so forth. But it also does wrapping of motor vehicles. It's the wrapping of motor vehicles that requires the additional square footage on the first floor as proposed. There, as you can see on the plans, Exhibit D, they're looking to establish what amounts to be an area for one car to come in through a garage door. That car would be worked on 1 to 2 days, having been wrapped, with some additional space on the right-hand side of that first floor for workmen and equipment. Wrapping of vehicles is basically the use of a specific vinyl. This vinyl has adhesive on its back. It can come in various colors, or it could come white. This particular vinyl, when heat is applied, stretches and molds to the vehicles that are being adhered to. And the process can take up to 1 to 2 days. My clients tell me that on an average, they do 7 to 10 cars a month. These motor vehicles are driven to the facility. The owner leaves it off there. The car is then wrapped, and then the facility notifies the owner, and the owner picks it up. What I can tell you about the wrapping process, and I hope, Mr. President, to have my client and I speak deeper into this process in subcommittee, and I'll have my client with me, and he can articulate some of the finer points of this. But I can tell you what it isn't. It isn't auto repair. It's not auto spray booth. There are no vehicles that are going to be outside sitting in front of the building waiting for a pickup. These cars, when they come out wrapped, it's an expensive process. They don't want to be, my client certainly doesn't want them to be damaged by somebody. He doesn't take the risk. He requires the owner pick up the car at the end of its process. The hours of operation for this small business are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. They have 3 employees presently working as they make their transition from Somerville to Revere. We welcome them because we welcome good businesses to Revere. And I would think that they would be bringing on that wrapping function that may lead to another couple of employees. There'll be 3 parking spaces out front in accordance with the design. And they work Monday through Friday, no weekends. Mr. President, I'll answer any question any member of the council would like to ask. And I'd ask at this time, respectfully request that the matter be brought to the zoning subcommittee chaired by Councilor Keith.
Thank you, Councilor. We got to go through the process here. So any other proponents, people in favor wanting to speak? Hearing and seeing none, we'll close that side of the hearing. Any opponents, people opposed? Hearing and seeing none, we'll close that side of the hearing. Councilors, Councilor Sereno, the ward councilor.
Thank you, Mr. President. In my conversations with Attorney Simeone, I have to be honest, at first I was totally opposed when I heard that they Mr. Rigonetti wanted to put a garage on Pemberton Street, essentially. It is a Squire Road address, but the garage would be going on Pemberton Street. However, in subsequent conversations, I've learned that, this isn't, they're not going to be, he's not a mechanic. There isn't going to be a lot of heavy work being done or body spray or anything of that nature. And it seems that it's kind of an innocuous one and done, there'll be one car per day, and sometimes he only does about 10 to 12 cars per month. So when you think of it like that, it won't be too much of an impact on the neighborhood. I wanted to wait until tonight to see if any neighbors, abutters came out, and I wanted to hear their thoughts, but nobody came out tonight. I do look forward to working on this in zoning, and I do want to put some conditions to continue to protect the neighborhood. No offense to Mr. Rigonetti, but I will be honest, I've had nightmares dealing with some of the garages that abut residential streets on Squire Road, and we've had some issues with other businesses on the corner of Squire Road and residential streets. So if we can apply some conditions in the zoning subcommittee, perhaps to make sure that the wrapping is only done during certain hours and that no clients are to be parked on the city street at any time. Those are just some of the conditions that I would like to work on in zoning. But seeing that no residents came out totally opposed, I would certainly be open to working with Attorney Simeone and Mr. Rigonetti, and I think we can come up with some good protections in zoning. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I look forward to discussing this more in committee. I have been to the site. It is clean. It is very modern, and more importantly, the equipment that is there it will provide very, very minimal noise in the neighborhood. When I looked at the facility that he has in Union Square in Somerville, it's quite clear that bringing him to Revere is a good thing. And more importantly, I think this will mesh well with the neighborhood, especially with the auspices of Councilor Serino. That said, I wait to speak more in committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councilors? I don't see any hands up. Hearing and seeing none, I will simply state that I did visit the site. It is very clean. It appears to be quite a business. We're happy to have this young couple in this city come into Revere, and I think it'll be a good use for the neighborhood, but we'll work out any details in the zoning subcommittee, of course, and so that's where this is going, zoning.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, council members.
Thank you.
Calendar item number 5, hearing called is ordered on the application of 1540 North Shore Road Realty Trust, Charles Lightbody trustee, 2 Warren Drive, Middleton, Mass., seeking permission from the Revere City Council to alter and extend a non-conforming structure and use by increasing the number of permitted residential units from 8 units to 14 units at, and this should read 1540 North Shore Road, and 9 DeHone Street shall be deleted.
This being a public hearing, any proponents? People in favor?
Hello?
Yes, Attorney Catoggio.
Oh, somebody shut off my video. I was hoping to.
We'll get it back on for you. Hold on one second.
I appreciate that. In the meantime, Mr. President, council members, Joseph Catoggio, 1 Sprague Street, Revere, representing the applicant, 1540 North Shore Road Realty Trust, Mr. Lightbody trustee. I first wanted to confirm that the application is for the property at 1540 North Shore Road. I'm not sure how that incorrect address got on, but we will correct that. As stated, the application is for a modification of a prior.
Let me interrupt you for a second.
Sure.
It appears that it was on the site plan review letter incorrectly, and that's how.
Yes, it may have been a mistake from the plan that was originally submitted. This address did originally connect with 9 DeHone Street, but it's since been subdivided, so that it was probably not picked up.
Great. Well,
from the application.
So we're working with 1540 North Shore Road.
1540, yes, and there is a
Please
structure
continue.
there.
Yeah.
Thank you. There is a structure there that has been built, was initially constructed by the prior owner. I understand that there were some problems with that application, but the modification deals with an internal change in the number of units, not an expansion of the 3-story building that is there. The application also reduces the request from the prior owner from 15 units to 14 units. Obviously, all required utilities are in place to service the property. The proposal is in line with the current trend of a lot of residential construction, which calls for smaller units that are closely located near public transportation. My client has met with the ward counselor, I'm sure he will confirm, as well as neighbors to address the concerns that were present from the prior owner and the prior applicant. We hopefully have addressed a large number of those concerns. If there are any other questions, we look forward to continuing this application in zoning subcommittee and to be able to answer any and all questions that the council or the subcommittee may have.
Thank you. Any other proponents? People in favor? Hearing and seeing none, we're going to close that side of the hearing. Any opponents? People opposed to this project? Hearing and seeing none, we're going to close that side of the hearing. Councilors, Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I know was a controversial site several months back, but it's now been moved to another party, and Mr. Lightbody has taken the building over, and he's already started to secure it for the protection of the neighborhood. We've also had several neighborhood meetings with the immediate abutters that had the concerns from the prior owner, and Mr. Lightbody has agreed to address every single item that the prior owner did not come through for, plus a few more items that came up. So I don't know if they're going to come on tonight, but I think they will come on the zoning subcommittee meeting, hopefully to show their approval. But they're working on the agreement, and they want to see that agreement, of course, before it's signed by all parties. Joe, if you can take care of that.
I will work with that, yes, to have it ready for the subcommittee.
Cool. And it's working out so far. And Mr. Lightbody, like I said, is already addressing some of the dangerous situations that occurred. And he plans on starting after the appeal period if this is approved. So with that, that's where we stand right now, and we're having ongoing meetings with the neighbors, and we'll continue even through the subcommittee meeting. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other councilors wish to speak on this? Hearing and seeing none. Zoning.
Thank you, gentlemen, ladies. Thank you, councilors.
You're welcome. Before we go any further, I just want to recognize that we have the Chief of Police here tonight. Thank you, Chief, for honoring us with your presence. We feel very safe to have the Chief of Police here tonight. Thank you.
Calendar item number 6, hearing called is ordered on the application of Robert Ainello, 727 Revere Beach Parkway, seeking permission from the Revere City Council for the reconstruction and modification of the pre-existing non-conforming structure and use, which will be a 2-story building utilized as 2 commercial units, with the first unit being for electrical contracting companies or similar businesses with professional offices, including indoor parking and indoor storage of equipment and supplies, and the second unit being used for self-storage units at 727 Revere Beach Parkway.
This is a public hearing. Proponents, people in favor.
Good evening, councilors. My name is Carrie Ann Green. I'm an attorney with D'Ambrosio Brown LLP with an address of 14 Proctor Avenue in Revere, and I represent the petitioner, Robert Ainello. My client is seeking to reconstruct and modify the pre-existing non-conforming use of the property. As you likely know, this has been a long-running project. It has seen a number of evolutions in recent years. This proposed modification of the building arises out of my client's desire to operate his business, Ainello Electric, out of the property. He plans to move his business in the near future and desires to remain in Revere, where he has operated his business for many years, rather than moving it to another city. He would operate his business out of one unit of the building, and the other unit would be utilized for self-storage units. This modification is less intrusive on the neighborhood than the prior proposal, which was for strictly self-storage units. Mr. Ainello's electrical business and the reduced self-storage use would mean less traffic, and the proposed size of the building is also smaller than the prior proposal, with the height being reduced by nearly 10 feet to a total of 31 feet. The business use and self-storage use will increase the tax value of this property, which will have long-running benefits for the city. The project is also has the support of the ward councilor. This is a great project for the city and represents an opportunity to keep Mr. Ainello's business in the city. We would ask for your support and look forward to further discussing at subcommittee. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponents? People in favor? Hearing and seeing none, we're going to close that side of the hearing. Any opponents, people opposed to this project?
No.
Nico, Go right ahead.
Hi, can you hear me, Counselor?
I can hear you. Go right ahead, Nico.
Okay, thank you, sir. Nico Kostopoulos, 111 Mill Street. I'm not opposed to the project per se. I just had a couple questions and just want to make sure things will follow through. I'm sure as you members, council members, know that this has been before the council several times on several different proposed plans for that property. Again, I still have a sore spot about it where he knocked down the building without permission from the building department or the council or letting the neighbors know. So I want to make sure this builder is going to stick to this plan and we're not going to have to go through this again and again.
Yeah.
I'd like to know that he's going to stick to that height. There's going to be no traffic, through our neighborhood. Because I know when he had the electrical business there before, we had a big problem, which I expressed to the ward councilor and to the owner about his trucks traveling down Mill Street at a high rate of speed all the time. Another thing, I hope that they're going to bait that property. It's sat vacant for this long. He never capped the property, so it's just dirt. So I'm sure there's a ton of rats that have burrowed underneath there. And once they start digging, we're all going to get infested with those rats. That's one of my biggest concerns. So I would hope that we're making sure he's going to abide by what he needs to abide by when this project starts.
Thank you. Is that it?
That's it.
I
Yes,
think,
Councilor, thank you.
I can answer your question. We're certainly going to hold them accountable for all those things through the building department. But to me, this use looks better than what was approved before. So I think you'll be pleased with that. It looks less.
Oh yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Less
at all.
less offensive than what was going to be there. Any other opponents? Anyone else opposed? Who we got? Jim. Jim, are you here? Jim, unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, I'm getting no picture, so I'm talking blind. 150 Taft Street, I discussed it.
Last name, please. Can we have your last name?
Jim DeRico, 150 Taft Street.
150 Taft. Got it. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, we discussed this with Joanne McKenna, Bobby Ianello, and, from the neighborhood, they're ecstatic to have something put there. As long as it stays to what it says on the plans and the property's kept up, we don't have a problem with this structure.
Great. That it, Jim?
That's it.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Hearing and seeing none, we're going to close that side of the hearing. Any councilors? Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I have talked with a couple of neighbors that live directly across the street from this development, and they say that they have no problems with the development being presented tonight. In the past, I've had 5 community meetings for the last 4 years. The first one was supposed to be an apartment building. We shot that down. The second one was last year, a self-storage unit that was going up 10 feet higher than the original plan. It got approved. Now this year, he wants to put his business back up, which I think is wonderful. A couple of storage units on the other side, and he's going down 10 feet. And the biggest concern last year was the shadow in the sun. And now he's going back to his original building, and we don't have to worry about the sun being, squashed from the building, or people losing their sun in shadow. So I think it's a great transformation from what it first started to what it is now. We're going back to the original building, and he's going to bring his business there, and we're going to have commercial, and everybody should be happy. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Thank you for your great work there, too. Any other councilors? Seeing none, we'll close that, and this is going to zoning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is the Health and Human Services Subcommittee report.
Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you, Mr. President. There's only one thing to be reported out, and that is an act relative to medication-assisted recovery and care. The committee voted it out affirmatively, and I would like to take it up now. Thank you.
Any discussion? Appears to be none. Roll call.
And it should be noted that Councilors Janino and Serino are recused from discussion on this matter. And on the motion that the mayor and city council go on record as supporting Senate bill filed by Senator Boncory, an act relative to medication-assisted recovery and care. Councilor Janino is recused. Councilor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Keefe?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morbido?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rotundo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Serino is recused. Councilor Visconti?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes, this motion has been approved.
Mr. President,
Counselor.
the other remaining motion remains in committee still. I believe Paul Capizzi, as well as other directors within the city, are going to be dealing with part of this particular cottage food operation. And
So you're going to have another committee meeting on
Yes.
that when you get an opinion? Okay, great. Thank you for your report.
Next up is the Appointment Subcommittee report.
Mr.
Mr.
Chairman.
President.
Guanasso.
Mr. President, earlier this afternoon, the Revere City Council Subcommittee on Appointments met, and we had a number of appointments before us. The first 21-053, Jason Barletta to the Public Arts Commission. Mr. President, we voted to withdraw that particular application based on the fact that the individual was invited to 3 subcommittee meetings and did not appear, not communicate with anyone. So I guess there's a lack of interest on his behalf. So we voted to withdraw that. Number 21-080, MT Mail as a licensed train layer. That was approved by the subcommittee, and I asked you to vote favorably on that. I could take all the drain layers that have been approved, and we can act as one, and then do the others individually, and if that's okay with the chair and the members of the city council.
That's fine,
The
Mr. Chairman.
next is 21-106, Super Service Today as a licensed trainer. That was also approved. And thirdly, 21-108, Menino Construction as a licensed drain layer. That was also approved. But they asked the city council vote them as one and vote them out favorably. Roll call.
Yes, so he wants to take up the drain layers now, and then we'll go back to Jason. And the
No, go back
director.
to Diane Luongo.
And the director of the public library. So we'll take them up separately.
So on the appointments that were approved by the subcommittee for drain layers and for the appointment of the director of the Revere Public Library, shall the city council confirm those appointments as reported by Chairman Guanasso? Councilor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Keefe?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morbido?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rotundo?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Serino?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Visconti?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes, those appointments have been confirmed.
And 21-097, Diana Luongo, a director of Revere Public Library. That was voted out favorably. I asked for a roll call.
We just did. We included that with the drain layers.
Okay.
Those were all the
Now,
favorables.
Okay, and Mr. President, these that I'm going to mention now are placed on hold. We will hold them over to the next meeting, and because they did not attend the meeting. It's J. Marchese and Son, Raphael Construction, Tufts Construction, and Arm Construction. I asked we hold those over until the next meeting. If they don't appear at that particular time, they will take the appropriate action. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, we're going to vote the denial of Jason Barletta now, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So the city council has to take the vote in the affirmative. So the question will be, shall the city council confirm the appointment of Jason Barletta to the Public Art Commission? Counselor Janino.
No.
Voting no, Counselor Guanasso.
No.
No, Counselor Keefe.
No.
No, Counselor McKenna.
No.
No, Counselor Morabito.
No.
No, Counselor Novoselsky.
No.
No, Counselor Powers.
No.
No, Counselor Rotundo.
No.
No, Counselor Sereno.
No.
No, Counselor Visconti.
No.
No, and Council President Zimbudo.
No.
No, the appointment has been denied.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next items up on the calendar are for motions, Council President.
Okay, so just to clear up, I know we all know the rules up here, and that's what we do, is follow the rules. So the number of Councilor Rotundo's motions did not fit the requirements. So he has 5 motions which he has selected. The other, I'm not even going to give you the number, but the other substantial amount of motions are going to be ruled out of order. And
You're not used to this by now.
well, I may be used to it, but I'm not going to tolerate it. And that's where we stand.
I
with it.
understand. I
And,
understand.
you know, it's out of respect to our colleagues that we all obey the same rules up here, and that's what we're going to do. So anyways, the 5 motions are 21-111, 21-112, 21-113, 21-124, and 21-133. The remainder of those motions submitted, of course, will be submitted, of course, over the next several council meetings, but I read them wrong. I apologize. So now here's what we're going to do. We're going to have the clerk read them so that we get them correctly, what I should have done in the first place, because I don't normally read these motions off. But the bottom line is that the remainder of the 13 or so motions will be ruled out of order. Madam Clerk.
Calendar item number 18, motion presented by Councilors Keefe, Guanasso, McKenna, Morabito, Novoselsky, Powers, Rotundo, and Visconti, that the mayor, in conjunction with the city council, request that the DCR permit Revere residents, request that the DCR permit Revere residents exhibiting a Revere resident parking sticker to park at no cost at the newly installed parking meters along Revere Beach Boulevard.
Councilor Keefe is going to speak first on this, and I'll add some information to this after it's done.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief, and I know that Councilor Powers has a motion down the road that's also looking to deal with this. I submitted this really early in the game when this news came out, and of course, Councilor Powers and other councils being more tied into that area, I would like for them to really have their opinions heard. But in essence, I think it speaks for itself. We recognize that the city, the residents of the city certainly are not very happy with this. None of us are very happy with it. I know there's a lot of negotiations and conversations happening, so I'll defer to the people that are most involved. I know there's some state representatives. I know the senators involved. I know the mayor, and I know Councilor Powers and Councilor Novoselsky are involved. And I do want to give credit to some of the residents that have spoken up very well in regards to what they want to see down there. And I truly hope and believe that your voices will be heard. If we could actually just combine this motion into Councilor Powers' motion later down the road, and we can kind of table this matter. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President,
Yes, Councilor Janino, our
can I
representative.
just make it clear that I'm recused from this motion?
Yes. I understand. Councilor Janino is recused from this.
Mr. President,
Councilor Sereno.
I too, by virtue of my
Yes,
position, am recused.
I was going to get to that. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for that. Okay. Before we go any further with this motion, I think it's probably appropriate for me to announce what's actually happening here. As we all know, I meet once a week with the mayor in order to be updated on what's going on in the city so that we have good communication between the city council and the mayor's administration. So the mayor negotiated a deal with the DCR, and it amounts to a fairly good compromise under the circumstances that where we were at a couple weeks ago. What will happen now is everyone, and this will be announced by the mayor's office. I hope I'm not stepping on their toes, but I need to get this information out. Every citizen that has a car registered in the city of Revere will receive a beach sticker. That's every registered vehicle. So every resident will receive a beach sticker. And that allows you to park on the westerly side of the beach from Revere Street to Kerry Circle and all of Ocean Avenue. That's in essence, what the deal is between DCR and the city of Revere. And so that's what will happen in the very near future. Everybody that's a resident will have a parking sticker. So that's where we're at. Now, we can continue to talk about this. I dare say you're not going to change the agreement that's already been made. So that's where we're at, and that's what's going to happen. So to all the residents, you will receive within the next several weeks a sticker that says beach, and you'll be able to park without paying at those locations. Now, if you park on the water, you're going to have to pay. So it's as simple as that. And so that's kind of where we're at, and that's the latest information as far as people, residents of the city. Non-residents, this does not obviously apply to. So that's...
Mr. President?
Yes.
May I speak?
Councilor McKenna.
So, minutes. I'm just really disappointed that we have 3 apartment buildings in Ward 1 in the beginning of the beach. We have over 100 residents in the Atlantic Towers and then a couple of other residents next door. And I'm just really disappointed that that wasn't looked at, that the residents didn't get no parking down there either, that wasn't looked at, that was over, I know we had to negotiate, but that was overseen by, the negotiators. So I just want to voice my disappointment that these residents that live in the beginning of the beach didn't get the same as the people in North Revere. I mean, Revere Street all the way up to Point of Pines. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. President. I am also somewhat disappointed because what I intentionally advocated for was parking for residents from 320 Revere Beach Boulevard, which is the intersection of Ocean Avenue, Revere Street, and the Boulevard, down to Kerry Circle on the westerly side of the city. And now I'm hoping that after listening to Councilor McKenna, that the people that live at Seaview Towers, the Breakers, the Atlantica, and all of those buildings down there, the St. George, are going to receive stickers, because that was my original interpretation from the mayor, that the residents down there in that area from 320 once again down, including the Satter House and all of the residences at the beyond the beach house, the single 2-family homes down there, that they would receive stickers, because these are the people that are going to be most affected, I think, if people are coming to the beach and they're coming from all over the area, taking up those spaces. And I think they should be given the first priority down there, Mr. President. I hope the mayor will look to address this as best he can. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor, but I think what I announced is that everybody with a registered vehicle will get a sticker. Everybody. Counselor Rotundo.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is no reflection on the mayor's office. However, this is egregious. 1,700 parking spaces, 23,000 plus residents with cars within our community, well over 2,000 seniors up and down the boulevard. More importantly, people are going to be acrimonious in fighting for spaces where these new developments start from Elliott to Cary Circle. This is just foolish. Quite honestly, putting meters down there has a huge impact on those people who need to be given the care from either a OT, a PT, a nurse, or for that matter, respiratory therapist. The people at the Sata House have suffered enough. Their parking spaces are basically being taken away with this particular process. Even though the western side of the boulevard will be provided for with a sticker and so forth, that does not provide for the other people that need to be working there, providing care and assistance to the people over at the Sata House, which I believe is well over 70 people. So this is just not enough. However, the underlining part of this very dark cloud is a provision that I believe Representative Turco is submitting, that even though we are being screwed, the end of the day, he is going to try and put legislation forward to obtain the money from these meters to go directly back into the beach. Excuse my language, but, you know, quite honestly, this is just egregious. And I applaud the mayor for trying his best to get what pretty much nobody could get done except for the governor. Shame on the governor. I don't see any parking meters on Carson Beach. I don't see any parking meters on Malibu Beach, Pleasure Beach, Lynn Beach, Constitution Beach, but Revere Beach, America's first public beach? No. Egregious. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. I don't think anybody will argue with you, but I will tell you that there's a rumor that all those places are getting meters. So I don't know that that's any consolation to our Revere residents, but
especially not to our residents on Revere Beach.
Of course, of course. Do you see any other hands, Madam Clerk? Sorry, Counselor, I didn't see you. I'm looking right at the screen. Counselor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, you know, I agree in most part, but we're at a point now where what we see is what we got. And the mayor did his best to negotiate something for us. Council Powers made out pretty well from Revere Street down to Cary Circle on the west side. No meters, and those people will be getting stickers. I know the Sata House, there's been an agreement made that the Sata House will get visitor permits for people that live there that don't have parking in the rear of the building. So they will get permits for there, and the workers will get visitor permits that will be given to the Sata House administration and controlled by them. So they will be able to take care of their employees. Also, too, may I say that I'm glad that the mayor took care of the folks on Ocean Ave, realizing a lot of these large buildings have parking for a majority, not all, but a majority of the tenants. Several of the buildings, people have to pay inside, so they'll choose probably not to use the outside stickers and park on Ocean Ave, and they'll have that right to do it. So, and the permits for the beach will also be the full length of Ocean Ave from Revere Street all the way down to Ocean Point, to Ocean Ave, which is Ocean Point, down in Council McKenna's neighborhood. So I do feel badly for her that the folks on the boulevard at the southerly end of the beach weren't taken care of, but the best we can do at this point is work with them, with DCR, let the folks get their stickers and they'll be able to park on Ocean Ave. in the permit zone. So I know my neighborhood down in off the Shirley Ave area, we had originally timed permit parking. And the Traffic Commission last January chose to make every street 24/7 permit parking, which I was against originally, but now that this has come about with the meters, I had put in a request that they change them, but now I'm withdrawing that request and I'm going to have the 24/7 parking down in the Shirley Ave and surrounding neighborhoods at 24/7. It's important that our neighbors be protected, that they be able to park where they can in front of their house or near their house. So as far as the money is concerned, Councilor Rotundo, I agree on that, that some or most of the money should come for maintenance of Revere Beach, in maintenance and maintenance personnel. So I would think that that should happen. And as far as home care workers, the city of Revere has permits for healthcare workers. And all they have to do is get letters from their employers and go to the parking office and they can get a healthcare worker permit and park anywhere in the city, anytime they want. So they can do what they have to do to get to our senior citizens. So hopefully I've covered some of the things that I know of, and as things progress, we'll hear better things as time goes on when things are really finalized and stabilized. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors? So seeing none, we'll go to attendees. We got Wayne Rose.
Wayne Rose, 19 Thorndike Street. I think this is totally disgusting. Let me ask you a question. You say that these people can park on Ocean Ave and Beachmont. You guys have made the street so skinny down there. Where are they going to park? That's one question. There's no parking spaces at the beginning of the beach anymore on Ocean Ave because you took them all away to the Beachmont residents. We don't need meters here. We've never had them. Even in its heyday, the state never tried to raise revenue from this beach because it's a historic beach. So I beg you people, and the mayor, he asked for this. He was on the Zoom meeting. He wanted these meters. You guys were all for this. Now it's time to get rid of the meters. Stick up for the people that are demanding these meters don't go in. And that's almost all the citizens in Revere. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'll correct you because you said that we wanted it. I don't know any counselor up here that wanted this, so you can say that, but it doesn't make it true. Next person.
You guys were on the Zoom meeting.
Next person will be Nico. I see Nico. Nico?
Hey, Counselor. Nico Christopoulos, 111 Mill Street. Can you guys hear me?
Go ahead, Nico. We can hear you.
Yeah, okay, just wanted to make sure.
Go ahead.
So I'm obviously nobody wants the meters. Obviously, I feel the same. I'm just curious as to why DCR feels that they can just impose this on the Revere residents. And I would like to know, as a city, what are we doing to fight that? And the only reason they're letting us park on the westerly side of the boulevard is because that's where all the private homes are. Those are paid by private taxes, right? So that land's maintained by the city, right? That's a city sidewalk. That's not DCR property, correct? Counselor?
If you're looking for an answer, DCR controls the beach. They have complete control of the beach. Unfortunately, we do not have a say in it. So you can say it's not right. We all agree with you. We're not happy with it. But there's also a reality here. The reality is DCR controls the beach reservation. That's the bottom line.
So the reality is basically the Revere residents taking on the chin again that's the reality we have to swallow, Counselor. Is that what you're saying? I'm confused.
In essence, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, well, that's unfortunate.
You want me to lie to you? I can lie to you,
No,
but
Counselor,
I don't do that.
Listen.
You know me a long time, Nico. You know
I have, sir.
I don't make up stories.
I know you don't. And here's what I'm asking, sir. If you guys can tell us residents how to help fight this, help you guys fight this, and see if we can get a better outcome, that's what we're looking for. Some guidance from you guys. You guys know how to get it done. And if you guys can guide us residents and we can all work together, I think maybe we can have a better outcome. I'm not looking to fight with you guys on it. I'm looking to work with you guys.
Nico, if I knew how to get this done, I would already got it done. Where our hands are somewhat tied because we don't control the beach. The next person is Petiola.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Pat Melchiano.
Oh, Pat, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
sorry,
that's not
that's
the
my
way it reads.
nickname.
That's not
Yeah,
the way it
for-
reads on my screen.
Patiola, that's my
Oh,
nickname.
Patiola, okay, great.
Okay, that's one of my nicknames.
Nice
420 Revere
to
Beach
see you, Pat.
Nice to see you. 420 Revere Beach Boulevard. I didn't plan on speaking until I just heard what I heard. Thank you, Councilor Keefe, Powers, and Rotundo for just speaking up. So you're talking about hands tied. However, last week, the ruling from DCR was, and you can correct me when I'm done speaking, it was that from Revere Street down to Cary, there would be no meters. And Ocean Ave, yeah, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the boulevard. Now, all of a sudden today, we're hearing, and Steve Post, who's head of Jack Cider House, doesn't even know this. So you know this, and an hour ago, I was talking to Steve. He didn't know this. That all of a sudden now you're giving however many residents there are in Revere, now you're giving everybody in Revere that 1 mile strip from Revere Street to Cary Circle. Now you're giving them those spots to everybody in the city. Now you can say, am I right or wrong?
You're wrong.
Go ahead, go. Ira, you talk too long. So just answer my question.
I was what?
You talk too long, so just answer the question, please.
Oh, well, I'll speak longer if you wish. Just so you know, the folks in Revere can also park on Ocean.
Yes, I
Avenue,
said
the
Ocean
full-length,
Ave also,
whatever.
but my concern is,
You didn't say
I'm
that.
talking about the boulevard.
You asked if you were wrong, if that's the only area.
I was only
It's not
talking about
only
the
area.
boulevard, I said.
It's not the only area.
That
The people
I
in
was
Revere,
speaking
the
on.
Revere-
That I
people in
was
Revere
speaking
may
on.
park on Ocean Avenue also, not only down the end of the boulevard, west side. So if you listen and stop beating up on people, things will get done and peacefully.
Is that it, Ira? Didn't I say ahead of time that I was talking about the boulevard, but I know about Ocean Ave? I'm only talking about the mile from Revere Street to Cary Circle. Up until a couple of days ago, that was for all the residents on the westerly side. Now, all of a sudden tonight, we hear it's for the entire city of Revere. Does that make sense? President?
Want to say that again, please? I don't know what you're asking, Pat. You want to say it again?
From Revere Street to Cary Circle. We knew about that last week, that residents that there won't be any meters from Revere Street to Cary Circle. We already knew that. But tonight, we just found out that you're giving those spaces to the entire city of Revere to park.
That
Point of order.
As
State
well
your
as Ocean
point,
Ave.
Counsel.
Go ahead.
State your
Go
point.
Pat, maybe this can clarify
Yeah,
it.
go ahead. Yeah.
The decisions that have been made by DCR, not the city of Revere. We lack the control to do that. And the mayor has tried his best in order to negotiate some type of settlement that we all disagree with. And at this point, like I said before, we are stuck with what the governor has done.
No, that's what Nico said, something about that we have to eat it. And I'm not saying anything against the mayor or DCR. I'm just asking a question. Revere Street to Cary Circle on the westerly side was for all the residents on Revere Street to Cary Circle. But today, all of a sudden, you just gave it away to the entire city of Revere who owns a car. Is that right or wrong, President?
That is correct.
That's a damn shame.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Who's that? Ralph DeChico. Ralph?
Hi, President Ralph DeChico, 49 Washington Street, just going to talk as a citizen. If I'm understanding correctly, all this does is put everything back to the way it was before the meters were there for Revere residents to park at the beach, correct?
Not completely. Somewhat, yes. All Revere residents will be able to park for free.
Anywhere on the beach, meter or no meter?
At certain locations, yes, not on the water side of the beach.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. On the motion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted.
Calendar item number 19, motion presented by Councilor Rotundo that the mayor investigate the feasibility of offering citywide Wi-Fi in Revere utilizing funding from the American Rescue Plan.
Councilor Rotundo.
Speaks for itself.
On the motion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted.
Calendar item number 20 is held over. Calendar item number 21 is held over. Calendar item number 22 is held over. Calendar item number 23 is held over.
Mr. President,
Councilor.
may I have some levity on 23 and have it sent to the Human Rights Commission so that we can have a joint venture on that? I understand that it is one over from what I've requested, but considering what's going on, I'd appreciate that.
I'm reluctant to change the rules. I'm sorry, Councilor. I can't, you know, I can't make rules and then change them and then give you levity.
No, that's fine.
It's just not in keeping with our rules of order here. We're going to stick to the rules. Sorry.
Calendar item number 24, motion presented by Councilors Keefe and Councilor McKenna that the mayor request MassDOT to paint and clean the over and underpasses for Route 1 and Route 16 at Broadway, Dale Street, Park Ave, and Mountain Ave. Councilor Zambudo is recused from discussion on this matter.
Councilor Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. President. I know Councilor McKenna wanted to speak briefly on this as well, and I understand you're recused. These types of overpasses and underpasses have go throughout our city. I've requested them a number of times, especially Dale Street, Park Ave, and Mountain Ave, to be taken care of, and of course Broadway being one of all those areas are gateways into our city. If you come from Everett, you cross over Park Ave, you cross over Mountain Ave, you cross through Dale Street from Chelsea, and you cross from Chelsea into Broadway. And they all look terrible, up and down. So I've requested that we I know they're controlled by the DOT, but if they're not able to take care of it in a timely fashion, I would ask that the mayors use some free cash to take care of it on our end and just show a little pride. And I'm not saying that we, reconstruct concrete here, but if we have to spray them down and repaint them to make them look more attractive, we can use some of the summer work program or some of the talented people in our DPW to handle that. And that's what I would request. But I'll give the rest of the time to Councilor McKenna. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor McKenna.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you, Councilor Chief. I think last year what happened was Mass DOT and DCR changed. So they changed where they are supposed to clean up. And I found last year that the DCR property that Mass DOT took over is horrendous. I don't know if they don't have the equipment to clean it. They do have the equipment to clean it, but Revere is just disgusting in the embankments coming off the highway. It's just disgusting. I've called for 1 month. I've called to have an embankment cleaned, and it's still not cleaned. I had to come and put a motion before you. So I think Mass DOT and DCR should switch again, and they should go back to what they were cleaning, and I think we might have a better outcome with that. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Madam Clerk. Councilor Sereno.
On the motion. Thank you, Mr. President. On that motion by Councilor Keefe, Councilor Keefe, would you mind if we added the Malden Street underpass and the Sergeant Street underpass to that motion, to that request as well? I will say, thanks to Paul Argenzio, Paul in the city has repainted the underpass on Malden Street because there tends to be a lot of graffiti that happens, but both of them could use a cleaning. So if we could, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Is that amenable to you?
Absolutely.
Counselor Key?
Sounds good.
Okay, on the motion as amended, all in favor, all opposed? So voted.
Calendar item number 25, that's going to be held over for a future meeting. Calendar item number 26, motion presented by Councilor Powers that the mayor request Governor Baker to direct Kathleen Theoharidis, Secretary of Environmental Affairs, to have DCR rethink its decision to require residents to pay for parking on the westerly side of Revere Beach Boulevard from 320 Revere Beach Boulevard to Cary Circle. The majority of residents in this area are senior citizens who require frequent visits from family, friends, and medical attendees. Most of these residents are retirees who have chosen to live on the boulevard, and it would be an injustice to force visitors, which in many cases are essential to the quality of life of these residents, to pay for parking in front of their homes.
I thought this was rolled into the other motion, wasn't it?
Mr. President, if I may,
Go ahead, Councilor Powers.
that motion was put in after the April 5th meeting of the Revere City Council. We haven't had a meeting since that time, and that's why it probably has not been removed from the calendar, okay? It's really moot now, because the only thing that troubles me with this is that my original motion was to give some aid to the people that lived on the boulevard, okay? Whether they lived in the Satter House, the Breakers, the Seaview Towers, no matter where they lived, and down the other end of the boulevard. And so now it seems what we're doing is we're allowing anyone that has a sticker to come down and park in that specified area, okay? Now, I just want to mention this because maybe DCR should look at this. I know I'll give you an example, York Beach in Maine, okay? They have meters all along the boulevard, and they have pay stations. But any time that I've ever been up there and taken a walk on the beach, I also see York, Maine stickers issued by the Commonwealth, or the state of Maine, rather, with only 2 Commonwealths in the country, but issued by the state of Maine. And those protect people that live in Maine, as we're looking to protect people that live in Revere. And I don't know why the stickers can't be recognized at any of the other meters on the boulevard. I think they should be. And I think something else that the DCR should also look at, and maybe the mayor can bring it to their attention, is the fact that if you have 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. parking on Revere Beach Boulevard with meters, unless you have a period down there when people cannot park there like they do now from 9 to 10 in the morning, you're going to have people coming from Swampscott, Marblehead, Lynn, and everywhere else, putting $8 or $10 in the meter to effectively skip the parking fees in the city of Boston, which are $25, $30, $35, and $40. So what we're going to have is, to America's first public beach, we're going to have everybody coming down here, and it's going to become America's public parking lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk. Do you want this withdrawn, this motion?
Yeah, I did. Well,
okay,
yeah, because of the mayor's efforts.
Talk about that.
Thank you.
Calendar item number 27, motion presented by Councilor Powers that the mayor request DCR to issue resident parking stickers from 6 Linway up to and including 120 Linway on the even side of the Linway.
Mr. President, if I may.
Go right ahead, Councilor.
Okay. I don't know what the outcome of that motion was. I know it was part of the information I had sent to the mayor. If in fact this does not happen, what you're going to have is people that are going to come and see the meters, and go over and park on the Linway where the residents live. And I think this is a very simple thing. There's probably about 8 or 10 houses there, and they should be protected by the DCR. Thank you.
So we'll pass this motion in order to get some action on it. On the motion, all in favor, all opposed, so voted.
Calendar item number 28 has been withdrawn. Calendar item number 29 will be held over to a future meeting. Calendar item number 30, motion presented by Councilors Rotundo, Sereno, and Janino that the Revere City Council and the Mayor of Revere denounce human trafficking in all of its forms and support the attached resolution.
Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you, Mr. President. This comes after what had taken place here in Revere, and I am outraged by it. Human trafficking, sex trafficking is a $36 billion a year worldwide scourge. Ashton Kutcher actually runs a foundation, and he had said in one of his comments to Congress that it was his organization that was the last defense against human trafficking on the net and elsewhere, and Homeland Security and other government bodies were unable to help these poor people. What we had seen down on Washington Ave is not an aberration within Massachusetts or the United States, but an aberration in Revere. And to that end, I denounce it, and I think everybody within our community denounces that. And whether it be human trafficking for sex, or whether it be human trafficking for child labor, or for other means, this is a big issue. And I must say that the Suffolk County's Sheriff's Office, Suffolk County's office provides a group called Support To End Exploitation, or SEEN. And they do amazing work with over 35 public and private agencies. And, you know, if we could read the resolution, that would be fine. I'm not sure if anybody else would like to speak on it, but I am appalled at what took place on Washington Ave. Thank you.
Okay, we'll let the other councilors, if they want to speak that are on this motion, speak, and then we'll read the resolution. Councilor Sereno.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, you always hear about human trafficking on the news, on TV programs, and it's scary and it's sad. But when you find out that it's in your neighborhood, down the street from where you grew up, and right on Washington Ave, where you go for coffee and breakfast, and just it's happening right under your nose and you don't even realize it. I was really kind of taken aback and shocked and saddened, disgusted when I learned about what was happening at that spa. Totally abhorrent, and my heart goes out to the victims who were trafficked at that location. And it's just such a sad situation. And I think this would be a great way for our city council to show that we stand in solidarity with those victims of human trafficking, not only at that spa, but all around the world. And I thank Councilor Rotundo for putting the language together. We must denounce it. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Janino.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also want to thank my colleague, Councilor Rotundo, for putting this together. I echo the same comments as my colleague, Councilor Sereno. You know, it's quite disturbing when you hear about this happening anywhere, but when you hear about it happening less than 1/10 of a mile from your home, when you hear about it happening next to the gym that you go to, above the place that you go for breakfast, it's horrifying. And the fact that it's happening in, quite frankly, plain sight is even more horrifying. And you know, I'd really like to think that this is an isolated incident, but unfortunately, I don't think that it is. I think this is an issue happening throughout the country in urban areas, and it's happening in plain sight. And I think that, you know, this is a great, well-intended motion, and I think it shows solidarity and support for the victims. However, it really isn't enough. I think we need to do more as a city and as a state to really take a stand against this and to really protect people that are put through this awful industry, to make sure that they know that there are resources and that people are there for them, and that we really just take a stance and take a crack at this really complicated issue. So I commend my colleagues for putting this together, and we'll be supporting it this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, you want to read the resolution?
The resolution is as follows. Whereas we, the undersigned members of the Revere City Council, recognize the urgent and critical need to create a human trafficking-free zone, and whereas, as a council, also recognize the impact human trafficking has on the people of Revere and our residents who may have suffered from human trafficking or forced labor, and in a manner that prevents human trafficking and forced labor and unites all residents of Revere against it. And whereas we, the Revere City Council, affirms our commitment against human trafficking and sex trafficking of children in any form, and whereas human trafficking is an international, national, and local phenomenon that traps millions in cycles of exploitation for sex or labor and is often called modern slavery. It is a direct affront to individual human rights and jeopardizes community health. And whereas worldwide, human trafficking generates about $36 billion each year. About 1/4 of those dollars circulates in the United States, where freedom is an inalienable right. And whereas commercial sex trafficking includes the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision of obtaining a person for the purposes of a commercial sex act. Children in the life are considered victims of severe forms of trafficking, and they are in our schools. And whereas every year, hundreds of thousands of those children, mostly girls and adolescents, are at risk of being trafficked. They are subject to physical, verbal, and sexual abuse. Specifically, they face social isolation, lack of care, manipulation, and severe health concerns, including HIV. Getting out of the life isn't easy. Many are trauma bonded with those who exploit them and must overcome stigmatization and post-traumatic stress. In some states, they also face the threat of criminal record. And whereas research by the Polaris Project indicates that the majority of trafficked persons come from vulnerable groups, including undocumented migrants, runaways, at-risk youth, oppressed or marginalized groups, and the poor, in which this occurs specifically because they are the easiest to recruit and control. Many of these young people are our students. And whereas organizations such as SEEN in Suffolk County have been incredible leaders in establishing and maintaining infrastructure to combat child sex trafficking and education about this issue. Support to End Exploitation Now, SEEN, is a groundbreaking partnership that unites more than 35 public and private agencies in the belief that collaboration yields positive outcomes for child victims of commercial sexual exploitation. Before the creation of SEEN in 2006, this form of human trafficking was virtually unrecognized in Suffolk County. Whereas child abuse best practice is premised upon the philosophy that no one agency can do it alone, children referred to SEEN typically have complex histories, involve many collateral agencies, and often multiple jurisdictions. SEEN case coordinators promptly connect each of these agencies and individuals together as a team to facilitate an efficient and effective response. And whereas with proper training, paraprofessionals, teachers, school personnel, and first responders can recognize and help victims of human trafficking in all its forms. Schools and all employees of the City of Revere can be part of the front line to combat the marginalization, criminalization, and exploitation of our most vulnerable. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Revere City Council stands in the fight to end human trafficking and condemn the ongoing exploitation and profit from sex trafficking and forced labor. And be it further resolved that the City of Revere provide resources to inform and educate all people in Revere on how to recognize human trafficking, forced labor, and sex trafficking in English, Spanish, Portuguese, Arabic, and Russian, and how to access help on the city's website and call 911. And be it further resolved that the City of Revere will address the consequences of human trafficking by supporting programs that counteract victims' criminalization and stigmatization through educating victims about their rights and opportunities, facilitating social reintegration, advancing educational opportunities, and assisting in obtaining sustainable employment. And be it further resolved that the Revere City Council reclaim the promise of safe and humane communities by supporting legislation to eradicate human trafficking in Massachusetts, in the United States, and abroad.
On the resolution, or All in favor, all opposed? So voted.
Calendar item number 31 is going to be held over. Calendar item number 32, motion presented by Councilor Rotundo that the mayor be requested to consider Paul Ferraro as a member of the Public Art Commission.
Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Paul Ferraro is extraordinary. He is creative, he is articulate, he is a fabulous member of our community, and I would believe would be an asset to the Public Art Commission, and I would hope that the mayor would consider him for this position. Thank you.
Thank you. On the motion, all in favor, all opposed? So voted.
Calendar item number 33, motion presented by Councilor Keefe that the mayor update the city council on the acquisition of the Riverfront Boatyard abutting Gibson Park.
Councilor Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. President. It speaks for itself. I would just hope to have an update for the next council meeting. Mr. President, I'd like to just have a formal update at the next council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Powers.
Yes, on that particular motion, I can tell you now that there have been organizations, one representing the city that is an attorney, and of course, one representing the owner of the property. And there have been appraisals on both pieces of property. And my understanding is that the mayor will soon be getting a summary of the values of those properties, and at some point when the negotiations are complete, it is, and I know it's Councilor Keefe's idea also to purchase that property, to put it back into green space, make it adjacent to Gibson Park for community boating and a rowing program. And that'll happen. I also want to, while I'm on this subject, I want to thank all of my colleagues on this city council who supported the motion back a couple of years ago to purchase the, to amend the zoning down there that would allow only for single-family homes down there and make it in compliance with the other properties in the Point of Pines. So again, that's what I know about this right now, and I think we'll be hearing from the mayor on this hopefully very soon with regard to the purchase of the property. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm just wondering, again, pretty much what I had put in about a month ago about the appraisal and so forth. More importantly, if we take it by eminent domain, how long will that process take? And more importantly, this is, something that I've been speaking about for the past, 8 years. So I am thankful that this will take place because, quite frankly, we are a water-bound community that would definitely benefit from having a green space that accommodates a rowing club, a community boat ramp, things of that nature. So, thank you.
I think it's part of the master plan, and I think everybody's on the same page with this. So I guess we have some attendees. Wayne Rose. Wayne? Tony, how about Tony?
I'm here. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Okay, Wayne, go ahead, Wayne. Tony, you'll have to wait.
Listen, I think that's a great idea, this thing. But I'm really puzzled at why you guys mute people when you don't like what they say. I think it's wrong, and I don't think that the public should have to be shut out of these meetings because you don't like what they say. Thank you.
For your information, nobody's muting anybody. You can make that statement, but it's not true.
Oh, you muted me. You
I
muted
never
me.
muted you, sir.
You most certainly did. I got 15 pictures of me being muted.
Not by
So
me.
don't lie, Tony. Please.
Hey, listen,
Please
you
don't
know
lie.
I don't lie.
Please don't lie. You shut me down. You wouldn't even let me talk.
That's not true.
Thank you. Thank
Well,
you.
other people can watch the meeting and see if I shut you down. I'll let you speak. Next up, who we got? Tony? And Tony seems to have disappeared. Anyone else? We got anybody else in the ones? Okay, next motion.
You can't lie your way out of this, Tony.
Now I may have to mute you because you're putting disinformation out.
Next. On the motion.
On the motion, all in favor, all opposed? So voted.
Calendar items number 34, 35, and 36 will be held over for future meetings.
Mr. President, point of information.
State your point, Counselor.
I know you're holding off some of Councilor Rotundo's motions, but there's 34 and 35 could be public safety issues with DPW. So I'd like to get them referred to the Public Works Committee.
You have the right to take up his motions if you want to.
Okay, 34, if I could, please.
Madam Clerk?
Calendar item number 34, motion presented by Councilor Novoselsky that the mayor request the DPW to provide a water and sewer line hookup to all properties on Winthrop Place.
Mr. President, I know this was put in by Councilor Rotundo, and there's something going on with a developer doing some property, some development on property in Winthrop Place, and I'd just like to get a clarification from the city engineer of what he's looking for to make the developer do something that may be beyond his scope of work. So either refer this to engineering or bring it into the Public Works Department committee.
Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you. To be quite honest with you, my concern is that if the developer is required to hook up water and sewer lines for other properties on Winthrop Place, do they incur the legal ramifications of doing such work? And I believe that that's an issue. And that's one of the issues that we had with the DPW in the past where this had taken place. So that's why I have raised that question.
This should obviously be a part of site plan. They should have been ordered to do that. So we can check with the engineer. Let's send this to Public Works.
Thank you.
Calendar item number
35, please.
35, motion presented by Councilor Novoselsky that the mayor requests the fire department to check the readiness of the fire hydrants located at 22 Hitchborn Street, 25 Hillside Ave, and 395 Lee Burbank Highway.
Again, Mr. President, I don't know what's going on with these potential issues at these three hydrants, and I don't know if council can clarify it or if we have to get Public Works and Revere Fire involved.
Okay, Councilor Rotundo.
I would be happy to have it go to Councilor Novoselsky's committee and have the chief look into it. Thank you.
Great. Public Works.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Calendar item number 36, that was held over for a future meeting. Now calendar item number 37, motion presented by Councilor McKenna that the mayor request the chief of infrastructure or his designee to develop a tree cutting protocol and procedure for National Grid to ensure proper oversight and accountability for trees located on city property. National Grid's tree trimming contractors have destroyed multiple trees throughout the city by cutting branches in a V shape away from wires, effectively killing the tree.
Mr. President?
Councilor McKenna, I'm sorry. I just assumed you were going to speak without telling you to speak, but go right ahead.
So when trimming the trees in Revere, National Grid cuts them into a V shape and to get them away from the wires. Councilor Novoselsky and I met with the arborist about 3 or 4 years ago because they destroyed the trees in front of Immaculate Conception, which are all gone now. They're all cut down. And the reason why they're cut down is because they cut a V in the trees, and the trees can't hold the weight of the branches on the side. So usually they break and they're taken down, but they're not replaced. So I'm asking to hold any utilities company accountable for, especially National Grid, because they don't really have the proper people that trim the trees. You can trim a tree in a rounded way. You don't have to cut a V in it and take half of the tree to be gone. So that's what I'm asking for. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Novoselsky?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yes, I agree with Councilor McKenna. One of the issue is, many years ago, they planted small trees, and the trees grew up above the wires. So I know these days when we're planting trees, we try not to plant them on the same side of a street that there are wires, and plant them underneath the wires. And if we're going to plant trees, we do them on the non-telephone pole side. So that's what I've been working with DPW and DCR and planting trees, trying not to put them under wires and on the same side as poles. And if they do, if someone insists that they want one, we look for a tree that doesn't grow high. So this V cutting won't have to occur, 10, 15 years down the road. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. On the motion, all in favor, all opposed? So voted.
Calendar item number 38, motion presented by Councilor McKenna, that the mayor direct Capital Waste to place empty barrels on the sidewalk and off of the public way. By leaving barrels in the street, Capital Waste effectively blocked the path of the street sweeper.
Councilor McKenna?
I'll be short with this. Last week we had trash day, but we had also a street sweeping day because we had a holiday. And that Capital Waste came around, collected the trash, and left all the barrels in the street. So we didn't have street sweeping because the street sweeper couldn't go around the barrels. So I did call Capital Waste because, again, it happened today. And they did send a supervisor out, and they came back and they took all the barrels off the street and they put them on the sidewalk. And I did inform the mayor about this too, so he could direct Capital Waste to do the right thing for Revere residents. Yeah. Well, thank you. That's it, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. I'm sure that Capital Waste will cooperate. They're very responsive. On the motion, all in favor, all opposed? So voted.
Calendar item number 39, motion presented by Councilor Sereno, that the mayor be requested to dedicate the new bocce court on New Hall Street at the West Revere School Complex in memory of Mr. Gerald Jerry Russo. Further, that there be a socially distanced dedication ceremony on a date later this year to be determined by Mr. Russo's family and friends. Jerry, an avid bocce player, Ward 6 resident, and city senior worker, recently passed away, and dedicating the new bocce court in his memory would be a nice, lasting tribute.
Councilor Sereno.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I actually want to yield my time tonight to the members of the Russo family because they are on, and if we could promote them to panelists, Madam Clerk. And I believe Mr. Mike Chiesa, who is a dear friend of Mr. Russo and another Ward 6 resident, is on. I think they would like to just say a few words, if you wouldn't mind.
Not at all. Go right ahead. Did you promote them?
Yes.
Councilor, I think we might have disconnected them by accident. They got disconnected somehow. We promoted them, but.
Okay. I see a Danielle Nickerson on. Are they on for this motion? I'm not sure if that's the account they might be using. Madam Clerk, do you see them?
Councilor Sereno, there was the Russo family name under the attendees. I promoted them to panelists, but they, I don't know, they disappeared, off the panelist list.
If you're watching TV, Russo family, please come back on Zoom.
Is Danielle Nickerson here to speak on this? Are you here to speak on the Russo family motion? They're just waiting. Okay, bye.
Oh, God. I think, did they just disappear as well?
Mr.
Listen, we'll
President, point of
continue on.
information.
Go right ahead.
I was
State
going
your
to
point.
suggest maybe we move on to the next motion, and if they appear, we can revisit
Yeah,
this
that's what
other
we're
item
gonna
and
do.
give them the ability to speak.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. All right, let's move to the next motion.
Was this, I'm sorry, Councilor Rotundo, was this one of the motions that you were going to hold over? Yeah. Okay. So 41. So now we're on number 40. Calendar item number 40, motion presented by Councilor Sereno that the mayor request the Department of Parks and Recreation to look into the feasibility of constructing a skate park somewhere in the community for teens to utilize.
Councilor Sereno.
Thank you, Mr. President. So first, when I was running for office a couple years ago, a woman had asked me to look into the feasibility of a skate park in the city for her younger children. And now that we have a bocce court, a dog park, and a new park at the Wayland School, a fairly new park at the Wayland School, she had asked me again if I could put this motion in, if we could get some information. I'm not sure, given insurance reasons, if it's feasible or not, but if we could maybe just get an answer to her, I would appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor. Anybody else on this? Okay, on the motion, all in favor, all opposed? So voted.
Calendar item number 41, motion presented by Councilor Rotundo that the mayor or his designee provide the city council with an update as to how the city...
Madam Clerk,
Yes.
I'm sorry, it's the wrong one, 21-133, my apologies. Yep, I'm reading it differently on this.
Calendar item number 42, motion presented by Councilor Rotundo that the following proposed ordinance amendment be ordered to a public hearing. An ordinance further amending the requirements for the storage of trash, Section 1, Section 8.06.020C, requirements for the storage of trash of the revised ordinances of the City of Revere is hereby amended by inserting containers that have a city waiver sticker after the words rodent-proof material.
Councilor Rotundo.
Thank you, Mr. President, Madam Clerk. I do apologize for the confusion. I'll give you the Tylenol later. That said, many residents within the community have trash barrels that they have bought in the past that meet the actual physical requirement of the barrels that are being purchased at $75 a piece from the City of Revere. It is very difficult times for many people, and to pay an additional $75 after having been told to get a rodent-proof container and adhering to that, and then now having to switch back and getting fined is a problem. And I think this is a simple solution for those people that have a container that actually meet the criteria. I mean, I've noticed them on Cushman, I've noticed them on Reservoir, I've noticed them on Proctor, I've noticed them throughout the city, and I've gotten numerous emails about people getting ticketed for having the incorrect trash receptacle, yet it looks exactly like the City of Revere receptacle, only without the verbiage. If you take a look at what Revere Housing has, it's the exact same thing, but it's a different product altogether, and yet we're picking up their trash as we normally do. So if perhaps for $1 or whatever, we can print up a sticker and have it put on a qualified barrel, because people are getting ticketed for having a barrel that they were asked to get before, but can't afford to go back and buy an additional $75 barrel And when you have a 4-family or a 3-family, it's costly for people. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, we have a great pickup system right now. It's, it even looks good. Everybody has blue barrels. Now, this program was put together, 5 years ago? I have 3 gray barrels that I use for my yard waste. That's legal. If they come on a special long weekend, we can use those black barrels that we purchased back then. Everybody in this city was giving 1 blue barrel. Everybody per apartment in a multi-family house, even up to, I think, 6 families. Now, I don't think we ought to change this ordinance. People are not forced to buy new barrels. It's their own choice. If they use the barrel properly and don't put all their recycled material in that blue barrel and use their brown barrels like they're supposed to, they wouldn't have a problem. Now, just because there may be 1 or 2 people that have 7 or 8 barrels for 1 apartment, that's not the city's problem. The city gave them what they are required to give them for nothing. If they wanted extra barrels, yeah, they had to pay for it. When I needed barrels before the blue barrels came in, I went to Home Depot and I bought barrels for $67 a piece in order to make it easy for the trash guys to empty them. So I don't agree with this, and I think we ought to put this in Public Works and be able to hear from our Health Department and Public Works Department to see if this is really necessary. I'd like to move this on.
This is going to your committee anyway, Councilor Novoselsky. Councilor Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. I definitely feel for this situation where, you don't want to see residents, especially right now, being fined. I do like the uniformity of the barrels, and I think the program has been very, 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 very positive. However, if there needs to be some leniency and some grievance time or some time to get people to adapt, I thought we did that for the first pretty much the year and a half. However, I would be okay with that to give everyone an opportunity to get caught up. But I certainly don't want to see people, if the barrels are in good shape and they're not overflowing and there's not trash falling over the street and they are in fact rodent proof, I would like to see a little bit of leniency, especially during the continued slowdown of the economy and shutdown of the economy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Rotundo, quickly.
Thank you. I'm not sure if Revere TV can kind of closing up on this. This is the barrel. It's the exact same barrel. The only thing is it's a different color. And more importantly, what troubles me the most is people being fined. I mean, what's the difference between the blue barrel there and the green barrel? Nothing.
It's blue.
Exactly. And the blue barrels that are used at Revere Housing are different in make and model than the ones that are used throughout the city. I was one who initiated the recycle program in the city of Revere, starting it in Ward 4 under Tom Ambrosino. And it wasn't to hurt people, it was to help people.
Okay, this is gonna go to committee, and I'm sure that the barrel is the exact same thing. Something can be worked out. That's what committees are for. So, Public Works. Now we can go back to the Russo family.
Referring back to calendar item number 39 regarding the bocce court in the name of Mr. Gerald Jerry Russo.
Go right ahead, Russo family.
Okay, we just want to say thank you to Ricky Serino and Michael Chiesa for nominating Jerry to be memorialized on the bocce court. Jerry was a resident of Revere for over 50 years. He coached baseball. He was active in hockey. His kids played all the sports. He worked for the Parks and Recreation Center part-time, and he had suffered a stroke quite a number of years ago, so he couldn't play most of the sports, but he could do bocce. So we're just grateful in this kind gesture. and he passed away in January of COVID virus. So we thank you from the Russo family.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your input.
Thank you.
Now on the motion. All in favor, all opposed? So voted.
Calendar item number 43, motion presented by Councilors Sereno and Janino that the mayor request the United States Postal Service to replace the mailbox that is currently at the intersection of Sigourney Street and Grover Street with a drive-up style mailbox, as are in other communities.
Councilor Janino.
Speaks for itself.
Thank you. Councilor Sereno.
Speaks for itself.
Ah, there, good. Okay. On the motion, all in favor, all opposed? So voted. What's that? Who wants to? Oh, sorry, Ralph DeChico. Didn't see your hand up.
No problem. No problem. Thank you, Council President. I just wanted to give Council Sereno and Council Janino some information on this that I was able to gather last year with the Commission on Disabilities, and it was posted at my meeting because a couple of residents had contacted the disability office about the mailbox that was removed on Pleasant Street that had the drive up. And I had contacted the Revere Annex Postal Building on Ward Street, and they had contacted the Postmaster General. Unfortunately, those drive-up mailboxes are now being taken out of service throughout not only Massachusetts, throughout the state, because of issues that are happening. There's an issue that's called phishing, where because of those mailboxes, people are able to put a mechanism inside the mailbox and steal mail out for mail fraud, and also for vandalism in them. If you notice, all the other style mailboxes, they do not open as wide. So it's not an issue because they do not want to put those there anymore. It's a mail fraud issues. That's why they do not have the drive-up mailboxes anymore, and they're starting to slowly take them out of all cities and towns, not only in Massachusetts, but countrywide because of this reason. But I was told that any disabled or senior that needs mail that cannot get to the mailbox or to the post office, that the mail carrier is more than welcome to pick it up at their mailbox, and they just leave it out as they had in the past. But it's a safety and fraud reason why those mailboxes are no longer in circulation, and that's through the Postmaster General. And I had a full report on it through the Commission on Disabilities last year.
Wow, I feel that in 2021, if we can't find a device to let it be a drive-up mailbox and make it theft-proof, then we've got bigger problems than I thought in this country. Councilor Sereno, I just see your hand up there. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do appreciate the chairman of the Disabilities Commission's comments. However, I just used a drive-up mailbox in Melrose the other day, so I know that they are. As I said,
they are slowly removing them.
They might be removing them, but I still would like to ask, and if I get that answer from the post office itself, then I can present that.
You want to get it from the Postmaster General. That's what the
Point of order.
State your point.
I believe the council has the floor.
Say that again? Okay. Well, I gave some leeway because there's information coming from the Director of Disabilities who has actual evidence. Listen, I still, my comment stands. I think we should, in 2021, be able to modify these things to make them safe. And that's my point, and I'll go to the Postmaster General on that. On the motion, all in favor, all opposed? So voted.
Calendar item number 44, motion presented by Councilor McKenna that the mayor request MassDOT to clean the Route 1A American Legion Highway off-ramp and embankments at the intersection of Route 145 Winthrop Avenue. Councilor Zambudo is recused from discussion on this matter.
Who's
Thank you, Mr.
Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I called twice. This is the only reason why it's on the motion. It's going up for a motion because I called twice more than a month ago to have this cleaned, and it hasn't been cleaned yet. I know they're short-staffed, but still. So thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you,
President.
thank you, Counselor. On the motion, all in favor, all opposed. So,
Calendar item number 45, motion presented by Councilor McKenna, that the City Council order the following ordinance amendment to a public hearing. An ordinance amending street and sidewalk openings, construction procedures, is hereby amended by adding a new subsection, 12.04.080C14. 14. Any trees removed on city property in relation to work performed under section 12.04.080 shall be replaced by the contractor as follows. A, for every tree removed that is more than 20 years old, the tree shall be replaced with 2 trees having a minimum of 4-inch caliber. B, for every tree removed less than 20 years old, the tree shall be replaced with 2 trees having a minimum of 2.5-inch caliber.
Councilor McKenna.
Thank you. It's pretty night tonight, councilors. I just think the lack of communication from National Grid to this council and myself has it provoked me to write an ordinance that will protect our city tree from utility companies. And if a tree comes down, it should be replaced by 2 trees if it's a mature tree. They have an ordinance for paving, so we don't have an ordinance for trees. So I'm trying to protect the trees. And as we go into climate changing, if you believe that, or as we're in an urban setting, we need more trees for health, so to keep the people healthy, because they give off oxygen. So that's why this ordinance came about. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Counselor. Anybody else on this? Order to a public hearing.
Calendar item number 46, late motions, presented by Councilor Powers, that the mayor request MassDOT to have the area that separates North Shore Road from Hayes Ave from trash and debris. Councilor Zambudo is recused from this motion.
Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe the motion speaks for itself. Thank you.
Thank you. On the motion, all in favor, all opposed? So voted.
There's one late communication from the city planner regarding an ordinance relative to urban farming and beekeeping.
We'll order this to a public hearing.
No further business, Council President.
No further business. The council will stand adjourned till Monday, May 3rd. Thank you all.
Thank you.